channel. Today we are going to do something different. We're really honored and privileged to be with Chris Cooley from OZPros and OZworks Group, and we are going to talk about kind of all things opportunity zones as they pertain to, well, everything, but specifically Puerto Rico. So Chris, thank you so much for joining us today, and if you want to take a few seconds to introduce yourself, let's go.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Robbie. I appreciate you guys having me. We've been doing collaborative events down in Puerto Rico since pretty much the inception of Osworks Group in January 2021. So, we're a community, online community that pertains specifically to OZ stakeholders, and we make sure that there's three basic things that we accomplish, and that is education. So everything that we do is based around making sure that people know about opportunity zones and that it's accessible to them. We connect people. So think of Osworks Group as basically an online co-working space for opportunity zones. We connect people. We make sure that they have the resources they need to move forward depending on their needs. And we build relationships. That's one of the big differentiators, right, of this community. It's 270 plus stakeholders from all over the country and Puerto Rico, and they're investors, they are real estate developers, they are service providers, they're people that lead with a giving hand and that are ready to participate and be engaged. Because we all know that what you put in is what you get out, right? So that's really the big benefit, is just making your OZ strategy and structure happen faster and in a more fun environment with people that you like and that you build connectivity with. So, I mean, that's why we're here, Robbie. Like, I met you through Osworks Group. We did our trip in June of 2021, and, you were there. We saw your properties on our bus tour that Catherine Maria did, and it just took off from there. So I will tell you that first event we did in collaboration with Invest PR, right? And it was sort of a workshop, but a very laid back one where we, wore Hawaiian shirts like you and sneakers like me. And, it's like, it was just designed to be a real relationship building presentation. And so I know that just in the response that we got back, I think 8 people responded to our survey. That those 8 people were personally responsible for $13.8 million of investments, and most of them hadn't even thought about Puerto Rico as a destination. So we can move the needle, man. That's small. That's a small bit of moving the needle. We did the other event in January and we haven't even reported back on that. It takes a little time, right, for people to make investments. But
I wasn't on the second trip. I was on the first one, and we had some people who were on the bus that we did some things with. Not the insignificant or the most significant is that we partnered with your partner, Ashley Tyson, to start our own Opportunity Zone Fund. OZP. I don't know if you're a part of that through Ashley or not, but
well, I can mention OZPros. OZPros is a done for you. You've obviously worked with Ashley and his team over there. So like, if you're ready to dive into an OZ strategy, they help get it all established and set up and do all the compliance moving forward. Ashley is a partner in Osworks Group with myself and Jimmy Atkinson. Jimmy's the voice of the Opportunity Zones podcast and Opportunity DB, Opportunity Pitch Day. So collectively, we have an incredible breadth, and I just appreciate working with those guys because it's truly collaborative. Like, we want to do great things for this industry and support it in all of our own specific ways, right? So it's just great to have partners that are interested in that sort of mindset, and that ultimately becomes the DNA of our whole community, right? It's awesome. Actually, the first time.
That's so cool that you say that, because I say it on video after video. It's in our DNA that we want to facilitate partnerships.
Yeah.
We're always looking for partners. We're always looking for ways that we can come alongside someone and either have them help in our project or we help in their project. And we give away a lot of information, and I know you guys do too.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're able to do that because of an abundance mindset. We're also able to do that because we know that there's enough for us and that we're gonna have our chance, right? So
This
uh,
this
I
this
love it as well. That's one of the best things about Puerto Rico is how much collaboration actually goes on.
I I will say that just showing up in Puerto Rico is part of the model. Like you have to just show up there. It's the same with our online community, right?
Yeah,
I was blown away. In fact, I'm looking at doing my own deals. We were just talking about that in Puerto Rico. With that as the key component. Like that's the one thing that attracted me. I mean, beaches are nice, right? Sun is nice. People are what drive me. And when I started to meet not just, investors from the mainland, but local Puerto Ricans that are getting involved in opportunity zones and supporting this whole movement, that's what really drew me in. And that is the key reason why I'm looking personally at participating in, business endeavors and deals on the island. So it speaks volumes to the culture that you all have in general. I know it's a broad brush, but hey,
yeah,
keep doing it.
and we get to wear flip flops and colorful shirts, and it's sunny most of the time. It's amazing. It's a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
time. Let's talk about Puerto Rico specific in opportunity zones that uh, we say I've heard between like 92 and 98% of the island is an opportunity zone.
hmm
And can you tell us why that's important when you're thinking about investing in these opportunity zones? Uh,
Yeah.
why that's such a big deal?
Ease and speed.
Yeah,
I mean, you have an island that's the size of Connecticut. So imagine the whole state of Connecticut was an opportunity zone, right? Like that's the equivalent. So any deal that you do, any project that you create, any jobs you create, are gonna go into your bucket of compliance and investment. In it just makes things easier, right? You don't have to necessarily think about, are the people I'm hiring in opportunity zones? Can they be in opportunity zones, right? There's things that you need to navigate from a compliance and standpoint that make it necessary for you to have 50%, of your flow of capital go through OZs. And that's for me talking as a remote company, right? So when we hire people, especially like high paying remote jobs, it makes it a lot easier when you don't have to find, and navigate location based positions, right? So that's one. I will, 98%, whatever the number is, it's well over 90% of the island is an OZ, right? And that's in part mostly because of the impacts of Hurricane Maria many years ago. Not many, just years ago, I'll say. And so it's justified. And, when you go down to the island, you see that there is so much momentum and traction that it makes a lot of sense to be participating in helping rebuild and bring jobs, right? So that's part of this whole misconception around the OZ incentive. Like it's available to anyone, right? That is willing to go the distance and start to hold themselves accountable, build a strategy around it, be in compliance, follow the spirit of the incentive, which is, to drive economic value and capital into socioeconomically challenged areas. And
yeah,
so one of the things that, a lot of people say is like, if you're in this just to like make a buck and do your real estate deals without the social impact behind it, this isn't necessarily the way to go for you, right? There's other ways to invest your money.
there are easier ways for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Uh, one of the things that I really like and I want to hit on here is that what you just said is true. In Puerto Rico, there are several acts through Act 60 that kind of get a bad rap. That one in particular is this capital gains, personal capital gains can be tax free to people who used to be in Act 22. And so there's a big pushback sometimes on the island that, hey, why can't locals take advantage of that? And we at PR Consultants and on a few of our videos have been pushing this idea that here's the fix for that. Like 98% of the island is opportunity zone. If you've got a capital gain issue, you can invest in you can invest your capital gains into these opportunity zone funds or opportunity zone businesses and defer the gain and then take advantage of the growth over a 10-year period of time. Can you speak a little bit about that and how that structure works?
Yeah. So let me give you a great example of a member that I've spoken with multiple times about creating jobs on the island. So I'll get to that in a second. So the whole idea of the OZ incentive, right, is that you take capital gains and you reinvest those capital gains into areas that are, outlined in this census tracts. And over time, and I'm way oversimplifying this, right? But over a 10-year period, the appreciation of that investment that you made can be exited tax-free on the capital gains side, right? So,
Right.
Anybody who says that, oh, well, the step up in basis is gone and then it's expired, like you're not seeing the forest, right? Like it's like your blinders are on, because the biggest part of the value in this is that you put your gains in properly, you funnel them down into a business in the zone, and then over 10 years, when you have an exit strategy, like that's a critical component of this too, to have an exit strategy, you sell your company and that becomes your Roth IRA and steroids, right? So it's like, it's an incredible mechanism. I guess the concern has been that, small businesses, you have to have a capital gain to be able to see that huge advantage, right? And that huge benefit. So one of the things that I've been sharing with people is like, there's ways to generate gains, especially small, medium-sized business owners that so let's just say a local Puerto Rican business, right, that has the potential to scale. If they already have a company and they have assets, they could sell a fraction of that company, right, create a gain, and then put that gain into a new company that could be a franchise or something that could grow significantly. And that is a way to participate in the incentive, as long as you're willing to go down that road. Because as you know, it's not easy. I don't want to oversimplify it, but I do want to say that like you can get in and have some control over your financial future, right? Through this incentive. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. But
I think so. On our side, we're offered investing in opportunity zones and with the goal in mind of one day having a business, but we're buying real estate, and part of that is that when you buy a piece of real estate with the intent to keep it in a QOZF or QOZB, you have significant renovations that are required. And I don't know how that works, and so I guess that's the long way of asking the question is, if you're a business, an operating business, and you want to invest in some gains into starting a new business, for instance, Adon has a tourism business and wants to go out and start another tourism business or another part of it, and he buys a couple of more vans and things like that with capital gains money. What kind of responsibility does he have with significant improvements or that stuff through the side of the business side?
Yeah, I mean, I won't.
I didn't do that very well.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Like I won't get into the details of like the structure of all that, but let's just say, in simplest terms, you can create a company that is, and it should be a scalable company, because again, it's the appreciation, right? So like that's the ideal. People ask me all the time, like, how much is opportunity zone strategy going to make me? And my answer is, how much money do you need to start the company, and what's it going to be worth in 10 years, right? Because that's the value. Is you will be able to exit that company and not have to pay any gains tax on that, right? So every company is different. It's a little bit more straightforward with real estate. And that's one of the reasons why so many people have played in this market with real estate up to this point, is because it's like a proven model, right? Like you know what you're setting up. There's property, there's walls, there's expected projections on ROI. Like a business is very different, because a remote company and one that manufactures, green building materials, like way different overhead, way different upfront cost, way different sale on the back end in 10 years. So there's a lot of variables in that, but you also have more potential for appreciation, like with a remote company that could 100x, right? So the story I was going to tell is about a person that I met in Puerto Rico who is Puerto Rican, left and went to California, created a production company, studio production film company, came back to Puerto Rico because, the taxes in California are just crazy, and just the operating costs are nuts, right? So came back, hired talent on the island, helped train them, is now considering creating an incubator to help develop these high paying jobs, and can now create that scaled incubator in an OZ, right? So it's like, this is a real story. It's happening, and anybody can do it, man.
Yeah. You said it off camera, and I like what you said. Anyone can do it as long as you're not lazy.
Yeah, it's like life lessons from Chris Cooley. I think I said it's only controversial if you're lazy.
It's only controversial. All right, I might parrot that later on.
Please do. It's a bumper sticker, right?
So what's next? What else can we talk about? I think there's some legislature on the books right now that's coming up that might extend this opportunity zone stuff for a few years. And your chance to get in for at least a few more years and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so there's a bill on the table. This is April 21st, 2022, just as like a check-in on the video. So the bill was proposed a couple weeks ago to extend and improve the OZ incentive. So the IRS took about 2 years to complete the final regulations, which really pigeonholed and halted a lot of potential investments and capital action in this market. So the ask is that the sunset timeline deadline get projected an extra 2 years, and that in accordance with that ask, that there is also more reporting requirements. These are sort of the two big. Well, there's another component to it that is adjusting potentially some of the zones because of the new census data that has come out since the original.
Some of the zones have changed.
Yeah. So there's potential in that too. The second component that I was just talking about is the regulations or reporting requirements. Right now there basically aren't any. And so it's really hard to measure the impact that's happening. Everyone that I've talked to, and I mean everyone, investors, large funds, anybody who's operating in this industry is in marketplace is totally fine with reporting. You have to be in compliance anyway. So whether there's required compliance or tracking and reporting or not, everybody should be holding records of the impact that they're making, because this is a requirement of the compliance, right? So like for us, like we're a QOZB, we hire people in the zones, and that's part of what you agree to. It's doing this. And so reporting on that would actually be beneficial for the entire industry. So I haven't met anyone yet who's opposed to that as like sort of an exchange, right? Myself, Jimmy, and we're including EIG, and Ashley will be a part of it as well. We're actually next week doing a webinar where we are having digital signatures for a letter to Congress that we're going to submit.
Wow.
excuse me, that is in favor of the extension. We started to do this without even knowing that this bill was on the table. We had been talking with EIG. I'm never going to play poker with them because they knew all about it and they never let it slip to us at all. They were just kind of like, yeah, what you're doing sounds like a great idea. So we will be submitting this and also educating people about how they can submit independent letters to their state representatives in support of. So really, like, this whole community that we've got, Robbie, you're a part of it. Don's a part of it. Catherine's a part of it. Like, this is momentum. Like, we have advocacy now because we're all in it and we've all learned from each other, and we're all, it truly is the rising tide, lifting all the boats. And so we just said, hey, look, let's like step up to the plate. If you don't step up, there's never a home run, so let's take a swing and at least let more people in Congress know that there are folks like us out here that care. And right now, I mean, we have contacts at Capitol Hill, and to basically say, like, nobody ever hears about it. So they don't talk about it, and it's not in their it's not even in their realm of interest because there isn't advocacy. So we're kind of at the weird thing about this incentive, dude, is that it's so young and so old all at the same time, right? Because the time window is so short. So I think that this extension gives everyone in the industry kind of a little reset to, like, rather than have the misconceptions reported on through like big news channels, that we actually have a voice to bring to the table and say, like, that's all BS. Here's what's really happening, right? And here's a platform for all of us to stand up and talk about it. So yeah, I think it's just really positive, man. The outlook is strong,
I wonder why there just isn't this advocacy. Is this is truly bipartisan stuff, right?
Yeah.
It started under Obama. It comes in under Trump. They're talking about extending it under Biden. I mean, so clearly this thing's got support on both sides, and it's really not very well known. Like, I was talking to an investor yesterday back in Florida who's telling me he's got 10 days left to identify a property in a 1031 exchange, and I'm like, dude, why don't you just put your money into an OZ? You can create your own OZ fund and give yourself another 3 years to get the money out there.
Yep.
And I'm like, you can talk to my friends at the OZ Pros, and they'll help you set this all up. And he's like, what are you talking about, Robert? I've never heard of this. He's like, I'll look into it. I'm sending him videos, and but he's a seasoned investor, right? A guy who's done enough deals anyways that he's doing a 1031 exchange. And he has no idea that this stuff even exists. There's just such little advocacy, I guess.
Well, I look at it a couple ways. The barriers to entry it's codified, it's tax law, right? So unless you're like what you're doing, what we do, it's about getting information out, because nobody's going to get involved in something they don't understand, right? That's just the reality. And so if all we're doing is like putting more paperwork out there to read, people who are entrepreneurs and developers and investors that move quickly, right? When they know someone, like, it's all about relationships. So like, we wanted to create a pool of knowledgeable OZ experts that can answer questions to get people to the next step, right? Quicker. And so this type of information is really necessary. And again, the industry is really young. The IRS regs came out, then it's only really been like a year since people have had the true regulations able to be
where they know what they could do.
Yeah, exactly.
3 years ago, people were doing stuff having no idea what was going to be allowed.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous to say, like, build a whole industry, educate everyone, make social impact, and then a year later say, none of that's happening. Well, I mean, these other incentives, these other programs, like, people know about them. They understand them. They've had time to be educated, right? And we have a ticking clock to educate everyone to get them on the same page, to tell the impact stories, to show the investment dollars happening, to educate the investors, right? So it's like there's a lot of haul in all this. But I think just having these types of conversations shows that people are passionate and care, and that it is something that's truly beneficial, you know? So I think one, decodifying the code, right? The literal, like, hundreds of pages of code.
The actual
code.
code.
Yeah, that's part of it. And doing it in a way that's consumable, that's not like way high level, you know, legal and accounting terms. That's all necessary. Like, but then the necessary part is hiring like OZ pros to do it, like hire experts that know it. I will say that, man, I mean, I can't tell you how many times we bump into people who are like, my attorney did this totally wrong and now it needs to be fixed. So I will caveat all of this with, like, make sure you do your due diligence. And that's part of what the group that we created was for. It's a paid platform. It's vetted in that way, right? Like, people have to come in and make a commitment to quite a few things. So, you know, it's a filter in some ways, but man, like, I don't know. It just seems crazy for people not to do this.
I think it's, and I say this again and again in different places where I'm speaking, but this is the best wealth builder that I've seen in my lifetime. I'm a 50-year-old guy, and we have self-directed IRAs at my house. We've got regular IRAs. We've done 1031 exchanges. We've invested in real estate for 25 years. This opportunity that we've had that started 3 years ago, that really people just started to really know what was going on a year ago, is by far the greatest wealth builder that has been offered to the common man, right? Like, you don't need to be Donald Trump to participate in this stuff and have some pretty spectacular success, or at least the expectation of it and the chance of it. So I'm excited to be in business with OZ Pros, and love being on your OZworks stuff and watching what you guys do, and then also just on our small channel, just trying to put the information out there as much as we can, so that more people can take advantage of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I do want to touch on something that you said. You know, like this whole idea that anyone can participate. There's no minimum for creating a capital gain that goes into a OZ fund. Like, you can just roll $1,000 in capital gains into your own self-directed fund, as long as you have about 137K over the lifetime of the 10-year deal, right? To be held in compliance. That's about the average cost, right? So I would venture to guess you're not starting a company to make less than 137K over 10 years, right? Or have the value, right? So, like, that's kind of the threshold. But you can activate a small gain, you know, like creation, and roll it into a company. Now, you don't want to like do that multiple times because it keeps kicking out the 10-year timeline if you put money into the fund. So, like, you want to have the right amount of money to fund your OZ project up front, because you drop it right down into the business immediately. So, like, having all that stuff structured ahead of time is really an ideal scenario. But it's accessible. I mean, we started Osworks Group with a very nominal upfront cost because it's an online, you know, platform and business. But the potential for that to scale in 10 years is just, it was a no-brainer to kick off that way, right? And like, as long as you have a business that's going to scale, and you can easily be in an opportunity zone like Puerto Rico, right? That's what I'm saying. The compliance concerns are not totally gone, but it's a lot easier to do it on your island, for sure.
That's for sure. I mean, in a normal area, about 5% of a town may have an opportunity zone, but on this island, we're well over 90%.
Yeah.
It does make it easier for clients, just because you have such a vast space
Hmm.
that qualifies. So
It's super unique. It's super unique,
yeah.
you know, and
I think Puerto Rico is completely unique. I'll self promote a little bit because we're combining opportunity zones with oceanfront properties inside of Act 60, getting 40% tax credits back. Uh, we're doing stuff that you just can't do anywhere else in the Caribbean or anywhere else in the States. Like even you said earlier, if you take Puerto Rico and Connecticut is the size of it, if Connecticut was all an opportunity zone, then anyone who's around Connecticut, New York, and Delaware and everywhere, we would be throwing our money into Connecticut as fast as we can.
Yep.
So anyone who sees this, that hears about this, you should be throwing your money into Puerto Rico because we just have a very, very unique and special situation on this island right here and right now. This is something that I think people are going to look back 10, 15, 20 years from now and go, wow, I can't believe that was available to those guys back then. What a great time to be coming to the island or to be living there.
I really hope too that that people who are on the island, local Puerto Rican businesses and developers start to see this as well, because I see people putting money into, like investors putting money into OZ projects on the island, but remember, it has to create jobs. It has to show impact. There's no other choice. Like it's a requirement. So it will generate jobs. It will up level the economic scenario without, pushing people out. My hope is that people who are on the island start to keep their gains on the island and reinvest in that as well, and really with investors from the mainland, right? Like there's this collaborative thing we were talking about early on in the beginning of this, and that's my rally call, right? Is to just say, man, we can all get in on this together,
Giving me chills, man. We're 100% aligned here with what you just said, and we've already done 3 or 4 or 5 videos, and now we have this, and I appreciate you coming alongside and sort of just helping us to get this message out there, because it is so important for the local population to realize that this is for everyone. You can be part of this, and like you just said a few minutes ago, you don't have to have millions of dollars in capital gains. You've just got to be able to come up with a great idea, generate some small gain, and invest in this certain way, follow the rules, but is it going to be worth it for the island, for the people who work in these businesses, and for the investors. It is truly a win-win-win, which is pretty cool, right? Like, kind of social investing is really pretty cool.
It's incredible, and anything that we can do to help educate and promote, this possibility for people who are truly representing opportunity zone communities. There's a commitment on our end. We did a scholarship initiative last year, and it was more about education, like lowering the barrier of entry. And so, I'd love to do more of that. We are always looking with, to partner with developers and investors that are impact driven and want to contribute to their OZ communities. So like, that's one of the things that I've been wanting to do is create a scholarship initiative for Puerto Rican companies and developers to get into our community to learn more, because we truly have, if you are an OZ beginner, right? Like, we have content for all that, and we'll introduce you to other peers and people who can support you. So if you don't have like a short timeline to get something done, you can just casually come in for, $50 a month and participate, and just by osmosis start to learn about OZs and where it can apply to your community and your business and whatever. The other thing is, like, if you're a high net worth individual and you want to invest in OZ projects, like, we can connect you with them, like really good ones all over the country and Puerto Rico. And so there's this concierge connectivity that we really take a lot of pride in. And it doesn't matter if you're coming in as a beginner or, you know, a seasoned OZ investor or expert. We want to be able to connect everybody that's really committed, you know?
Yeah. And you guys are doing a great job with it. Do you want to tell us about your next OZworks Pitch Day, which I think is coming up in a month or two? And
yeah,
you want to tell us before we wrap it up?
I'll just rattle off a couple of resources that are like evergreen. So Osworks Group is available to anyone. We actually do a 3-day trial now, so people can just visit osworksgroup.org and read all about what we do. And there's a pricing structure, and you just click on the light membership and you can come join us and try it out for 3 days. I recommend everybody do it on a Friday morning, because every Friday at noon Eastern, we do peer support sort of sessions where you get to network and meet other OZ people. So you get that basically for free, and then you get the weekend to try it out. So I recommend that for everybody from our side. We also have courses. And so just go to osworksgroup.org and explore. And people can email me directly if they have any questions. It's chris@osworksgroup.com, or hit me up on LinkedIn. You know, we're all over the place, right? The other thing I would say is you could check out OZ Pros. Robbie, you mentioned you guys utilize them, and Ashley Tyson and his team. If you want to execute an OZ, like a self-directed or anything, we also have other resources inside of the community that can help support that. But we're affiliated with OZ Pros because they're really freaking good. The other one is Opportunity DB. I highly recommend just going to just type in the Opportunity Zones podcast. Jimmy does a great job. Those podcasts are free, incredible resources to get started. And then OZ Pitch Day is something that they also run through Opportunity DB. These are all of our affiliations and collaborations. So check all of that stuff out. And at the very least, hit up those 3 websites, osworksgroup.org, ozpros.com, Opportunity DB, and you'll be on your way, right?
Yeah, and we'll have links below the YouTube video that we're hopefully going to get out in the next week or two. And on my side, I'll self-pitch a little bit that we do have IPQ OZB, Island Paradise Qualified Opportunity Zone Business and Fund, and we're actively raising money for it. And we partnered with OZ Pros to do that. And so there's other videos that they connect to anyone who's seeing this. But check out what we're doing. We're always open for a conversation too, so we love to communicate through the chat underneath our videos. That's our favorite way to get to know somebody. So, you know, we're wrapping it up, and I always want to tell people to like the video and drop a comment, smash the subscribe button for us. This was great, Chris. I love the conversation, and thank you very, very much for spending some time with us today. We don't have to end here if you've got more that you want to get out there, but I know you have something coming up pretty soon here too.
Yeah, thanks, Robbie. I'm happy to do it again anytime. You know, just let me know. Where it's advocacy and education, and it speeds everything up. You know, we make things understandable for people. So hopefully we're doing that. And dude, I'll see you. Like, I'm coming down there sooner than later. So I'll look forward to catching up with you in person here. You know.
Yep, we'll see you soon, and maybe there's going to be another bus tour coming up later in the summer too. So we'll get a conversation going about that with Catherine.
I love it. Thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it, and talk to you soon.
All right, thanks. Have a great day.